Jax was not like the other teens on Horizon Hub. He had a curious mind and an unstoppable energy that often got him into trouble. The space station stretched across 3 enormous rings, each bustling with traders, engineers, and trainees from dozens of alien species. Humans were rare here, and most aliens found them amusing for their small size and peculiar habits. Jax didn't care. He had pride, especially about his family, and he loved telling stories, sometimes stretching the truth, about his late grandfather, who had once trained the Emperor's elite soldiers. That morning, the training arena was alive with sounds of clanking metal, low hums of hovering machines, and the occasional shout of instructors pushing their trainees. Jax adjusted his uniform and tried to appear confident. He had been waiting for this moment all week. The infamous Xylar, an alien trainer whose green-scaled skin shone under the lights, was in charge today. Xylar was known for turning ordinary trainees into experts, capable of navigating the most complex interstellar scenarios. His eyes, golden and sharp, could spot a mistake from 100 meters away. Today, Xylar's deep voice echoed, "We will test your agility, strategy, and focus. Only those with true dedication will succeed." The trainees lined up, their eyes nervously fixed on Xylar. Some were tall, muscular aliens, and some were small but agile. Jax was in the middle, feeling both excitement and anxiety. He wanted to impress Xylar, but more importantly, he wanted to tell everyone about his grandfather. When the session began, trainees moved through a series of complex obstacle courses. Floating platforms shifted, laser beams crisscrossed, and holographic simulations of alien opponents appeared at random intervals. Jax followed the pattern, ducking under a laser and leaping across a shifting platform. His legs burned, and his heart raced, but he kept going. Then, as a group gathered near a suspended training module, Jax couldn't hold himself back. "My grandpa trained the Emperor's men," he shouted, his voice echoing across the arena. "He taught them everything from combat moves to strategy. You all should listen to me." The arena went silent. Every trainee stopped mid-move to stare at him. Xylar's golden eyes narrowed. The alien trainer's massive arms folded across his chest, scales catching the light. "You dare claim your grandfather trained the Emperor's men?" Xylar's voice was calm, but each word carried the weight of a thunderstorm. "Do you have proof, human, or are you simply boasting?" Jax puffed out his chest. "Of course. I'm telling the truth. My grandpa was the best. He taught them all the techniques that made them. He waved his arms enthusiastically, forgetting momentarily that the arena required precision. Xylar's tail flicked with irritation. In one swift motion, he moved closer to Jax and gave him a firm, but non-harmful, slap on the shoulder. It was not meant to injure but to startle and correct. Jax yelped in surprise and stumbled back. "Stop exaggerating, human. Do you think bragging will make you skilled?" Xylar asked, his voice stern but not cruel. "If you want respect here, you must earn it through effort, not words." Jax's cheeks burned. For a moment, he wanted to argue, but the look in Xylar's eyes silenced him. The alien had seen countless trainees over the years, and Jax realized that his boast, however truthful, seemed shallow without proof. He backed away and muttered under his breath, "I'll show him. I'll show everyone." Later, away from the main arena, Jax wandered through the corridors of Horizon Hub. He passed rows of mechanical workshops, where engineers repaired ships, and laboratories where aliens studied new technology. He thought about his grandfather's stories, how he had taught precision, strategy, and courage to the Emperor's elite. Those were the stories he grew up hearing at bedtime. Stories that filled him with pride and imagination. Jax wanted to find evidence, something that would make Xylar see that humans, though smaller and less physically strong than many aliens, had a mind that could match the greatest warriors in the galaxy. As he walked, he overheard trainees whispering, "Did you see that human?" Boasting about his grandpa. "Humans always exaggerate," another replied, shaking his head. Jax clenched his fists but didn't stop walking. He knew that if he could prove himself, Even Xylar would have to admit humans were capable of more than others expected. He remembered hearing rumors about a young mechanic named Mira. She was famous on the station for fixing anything, from broken spacecraft to malfunctioning exosuits. Some even whispered that she could access records older than Horizon Hub itself. If anyone could help him find proof of his grandfather's achievements, it was her. The mechanical bay was unlike anything Jax had seen. Robots hummed as they moved tools across the floor, and hovering platforms carried massive pieces of machinery. Mira was in the middle of the chaos, her hands moving with precision as she adjusted a glowing power core. Her hair was tied back, and she didn't notice Jax immediately. Hi? Jax called, trying to sound confident. Mira looked up, her eyes sharp but curious. Can I help you? She asked, her voice calm but commanding. I need your help. My grandpa trained the Emperor's men. I need proof, Jax blurted out. I-10, Mira raised an eyebrow. The Emperor's men? That's quite a claim. Many humans tell stories, but few have evidence. I have stories, Jax said quickly. But I need something more. I want Xylar to see. I want to show everyone. Humans can do amazing things. Mira studied him for a moment. Then a small smile appeared. You have determination. That counts for something. Let's see what we can find. Together, they started searching through stacks of old schematics, digital archives, and dusty lockers. Mira explained the systems of the station and showed Jax how to access encrypted logs. He marveled at the cleverness of her solutions. Where some would see only a tangle of wires and code, she saw a puzzle waiting to be solved. Hours passed. Jax learned more than he expected, not just about his grandfather but about technology and strategy. He realized that humans might not always be the strongest physically, but ingenuity and intelligence could level the playing field. Just as the sun's artificial light began to shift across the bay, Mira pulled out a small, dusty logbook hidden behind a panel. The cover had strange markings, but Jax recognized his grandfather's handwriting immediately. This is it, Jax exclaimed, holding the logbook carefully. Proof that my grandpa trained the Emperor's men, Mira smiled. Looks like your family really did have a legacy. But remember, Jax, proof alone isn't enough. You need to show skill, creativity, and courage. That's what earns respect here. Jax nodded, determination shining in his eyes. I will. I'll show Xylar, and everyone else, that humans can be more than they expect. As they left the mechanical bay, Jax couldn't help but glance back at the arena. He imagined the next training session, where he would demonstrate not just stories, but real skill, inspired by his grandfather and guided by Mira's insight. For the first time that day, he didn't feel small among the towering aliens and advanced technology. He felt capable, resourceful, and ready for the challenges ahead. And deep down, he knew that the journey to prove himself had only just begun. By the time Jax returned to his quarters, he had a plan. He would study the logbook, learn the techniques recorded in it, and combine them with his own human creativity. When he returned to the arena, he wouldn't just be the human who bragged about his grandfather. He would be someone who earned respect through action, intelligence, and ingenuity. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Jax felt a spark of excitement. The story of his grandfather was no longer just a bedtime tale. It was the beginning of his own adventure, one that would take him beyond Horizon Hub, across the stars, and into a place where humans could shine in ways no one expected. Jax sat by the window, watching starships glide past the station, each leaving a trail of light in the vast darkness of space. He imagined himself among them, using cleverness and courage to overcome challenges that no one else could. The hum of the station, the whispers of the trainees, and even Xylar's stern look all faded into the background. Tonight, Jax wasn't just a teen boasting about his grandfather. He was a human with potential, a mind capable of ingenuity, and a heart ready to prove that humans could stand among the stars, not through strength alone, but through creativity, determination, and clever thinking. Tomorrow, the training grounds would be different. Jax would be different, and Horizon Hub would remember the day the small human began a journey that could inspire everyone to rethink what humans were truly capable of. Jax could barely sleep that night. The logbook he had found with Mira's help weighed heavily in his mind, not physically, but with the promise of discovery. Every page seemed to hold a secret, and he knew that each secret could bring him closer to proving his grandfather's legacy. The sun of Horizon Hub had already risen, and artificial light spilled across his quarters. Jax jumped out of bed, ready to dive into the pages once more. He met Mira at the mechanical bay early in the morning. The bay was quieter than usual, with only a few drones hovering and engineers tinkering with small repairs. Mira looked up from her workbench and smiled when she saw him. "You're early," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Excited to see if your grandfather really was as clever as you claim?" Jax grinned. "I want to understand everything, not just the stories. I want to see how he thought, how he trained the Emperor's men, and maybe even learn some of the techniques myself." Mira chuckled. "Ambitious. I like that. Let's start then." They opened the logbook on a clean workbench. The pages were filled with neat handwriting, diagrams, and coded symbols. Some of it looked like normal strategy notes, but other parts seemed like puzzles designed to test the reader's thinking skills. Jax traced his finger over the symbols, feeling a thrill at the connection to his grandfather. "These aren't just instructions," Mira explained. "They're designed to teach someone how to think. You can memorize a move, but if you can't understand why it works, it won't help you in real situations." Jax nodded. He liked challenges, and these pages were full of them. They spent hours deciphering the codes, solving puzzles, and discussing strategy. Mira showed him ways to combine logic with improvisation, while Jax contributed creative ideas of his own. Slowly, he began to realize that humans had a unique advantage: imagination. Even when faced with alien technology and tactics, a human mind could find a solution no one else expected. By midday, they had uncovered a series of old training exercises that the Emperor's men used to perfect coordination and quick thinking. Jax practiced them under Mira's watchful eyes. Some exercises were simple balance routines on shifting platforms, while others involved calculating the paths of moving obstacles in real time. "You're good," Mira said, adjusting the height of one of the platforms. "Not just in skill, but in how you think. That's why your grandfather's methods worked so well." Quote, Jax smiled, but he still felt a little nervous. Xylar's challenge from the arena was still fresh in his mind. He knew that knowing about the techniques was one thing, but demonstrating them convincingly to Xylar would be another. "I wish I could show him now," Jax muttered. "Then maybe he'd understand. Humans can be more than they seem." Mira laughed softly. "Patience. First, we master the techniques. Then we show them to the trainer. Trust me, the demonstration will speak louder than words." Over the next few days, Jax practiced relentlessly. He adapted the exercises to his own style, sometimes improving them with clever twists that mirrored the thinking patterns his grandfather described. He realized that the secret of his grandfather's success wasn't just in the exercises themselves, it was in teaching someone to observe, adapt, and innovate. While Jax worked on his skills, Mira continued digging through old mechanical schematics and records from Horizon Hub's archives. Together, they discovered blueprints for equipment used by the Emperor's men, from lightweight protective suits to modular tools designed for rapid adaptation. Jax marveled at the technology, but Mira reminded him that human intelligence and creativity were the real keys. "You don't need to be the strongest to be effective," she said. "You just need to think in ways others don't." One afternoon, as Jax practiced a particularly tricky exercise that involved leaping from one platform to another while solving a moving puzzle, he noticed a small group of trainees watching from a distance. They were whispering and pointing, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. Jax froze for a moment, feeling self-conscious. He had been so focused on Mira's instructions that he hadn't considered anyone else might be observing. Mira noticed the hesitation. "Ignore them," she said. "This is about your growth, not their opinions. Every move you make is part of your learning." Encouraged by her words, Jax continued, completing the exercise perfectly. The onlookers exchanged surprised glances. One of them, a tall alien with blue feathers along his arms, finally spoke. "The human? He's learning faster than I thought." Jax felt a rush of pride. It wasn't just about proving his grandfather's legacy anymore. It was about showing that humans could learn, adapt, and innovate in ways that aliens might underestimate. By the 5th day, Jax and Mira had mastered most of the exercises in the logbook. Jax felt confident enough to think about returning to the arena and demonstrating his skills to Xylar. But Mira had one final suggestion. "There's one more step," she said. "Your grandfather left a final challenge in the logbook. It's a simulation designed to test decision-making, strategy, and adaptability under pressure. If you can complete it, you'll be ready." Jax's eyes widened. "A final challenge? What does it involve?" Mira grinned. "You'll see. It's designed to be difficult, but it's also a chance to apply everything you've learned. Think of it as a rehearsal for the real thing." The simulation took place in a specialized chamber, filled with holographic projections of alien landscapes, moving obstacles, and unpredictable challenges. Jax entered the chamber, feeling both excitement and nervousness. As the simulation began, he saw holographic enemies approaching, each behaving differently from the last. The platforms shifted beneath his feet, and lasers crisscrossed the chamber in complex patterns. At first, Jax hesitated, unsure which move to make. But then he remembered Mira's lessons: observe, adapt, and improvise. He calculated his path, combining balance, timing, and creative thinking. When a holographic obstacle blocked his route, he found a new way around it, using momentum to jump higher and land safely. When the enemies changed patterns, he quickly adjusted, anticipating their moves before they happened. Minutes passed, but Jax didn't feel tired. He felt focused, in sync with the chamber and the challenges it presented. When the final obstacle appeared, a shifting platform surrounded by moving laser beams, Jax paused for a second, then leaped with precision, landing perfectly as the simulation ended. The chamber lights dimmed, and a soft voice announced, "Simulation complete. Performance exemplary." Jax couldn't help but grin. He had done it. Every exercise, every puzzle, every lesson from Mira and the logbook had prepared him for this moment. He felt a sense of pride and accomplishment unlike anything he had experienced before. Mira entered the chamber, clapping her hands softly. "Well done, Jax. You didn't just follow instructions. You adapted, improvised, and succeeded. That's exactly what your grandfather wanted his trainees to do." Jax felt a warmth in his chest. "Thank you, Mira. I couldn't have done this without you. You did most of the work yourself," she said. "I just guided you." For the first time, Jax felt truly ready to face Xylar again. He knew that this time, he wouldn't just boast about his grandfather, he would demonstrate human ingenuity and adaptability. He would show that humans, though small and often underestimated, could compete with anyone when they combined intelligence, creativity, and determination. As they left the simulation chamber, Jax noticed the other trainees looking at him with newfound respect. Whispers followed him through the corridors of Horizon Hub. Some expressed disbelief that a human could master techniques designed for the Emperor's elite, while others nodded in quiet admiration. Jax didn't let it go to his head. He knew that respect was earned, not given. But he also understood that humans had a unique strength, an ability to think in ways others didn't, to find solutions when situations seemed impossible, and to adapt when challenges changed. That was the lesson his grandfather had passed down, and now it was his turn to live it. Mira smiled at him as they reached the edge of the hub. "Tomorrow," she said, "you'll return to the arena. Show Xylar what humans can do. But remember, this isn't just about skill. It's about creativity, problem-solving, and courage." That's what will make him take notice. Jax nodded, feeling a sense of purpose he had never felt before. He had begun as a teen boasting about his grandfather's legacy, but he would return as someone ready to demonstrate that humans could shine among the stars, not through brute strength, but through ingenuity and determination. As he lay down to rest that night, the stars outside the station glimmered like distant sparks of inspiration. Jax knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but he also knew that humans had a way of finding paths where others saw only obstacles, and for the first time, he truly believed that he could rise to the challenge. Tomorrow, the arena would be waiting. And when he stepped back onto its platforms, Jax would no longer be just a boy claiming his grandfather's legacy. He would be a human proving that legacy, one clever move at a time. Jax woke early, the hum of Horizon Hub filling his quarters like a quiet anthem. Today was different. Today, he would return to the training arena, not as the boy who had boasted about his grandfather, but as someone who had worked, learned, and adapted. He felt a mix of excitement and nerves, but the logbook, now tucked safely in his satchel, reminded him of how far he had come. When he arrived at the arena, trainees were already moving through warm-up exercises. Xylar stood near the center, observing, as always, with his golden eyes scanning the group like a predator that didn't hunt, but judged. Jax felt the weight of expectation. He knew all eyes would be on him, waiting to see if the human could back up his bold claims. He stepped into the arena, holding his head high. A few whispers followed him, some skeptical, some curious. But Jax ignored them. He remembered Mira's words. It wasn't about others' opinions. It was about demonstrating creativity, intelligence, and adaptability. Human, Xylar's deep voice cut through the chatter. You return. Will you speak? Or will you show us why your grandfather was renowned? Jax swallowed and nodded. I'll show you, he said, his voice steady. Xylar raised one massive arm, signaling him to begin. Jax glanced around the arena. The platforms hovered, shifting with precision, and holographic obstacles appeared at random. He noticed some trainees looking tense, expecting a mistake. But Jax had practiced tirelessly. Every movement, every calculation, every strategy from the logbook had been etched into his mind. He started with a balance exercise, leaping from platform to platform while solving a pattern of moving beams. Unlike before, he didn't hesitate. He anticipated the movements, adapting mid-air when the beams shifted unexpectedly. His feet landed softly, and he moved with a rhythm that drew the attention of every observer. The next challenge appeared, a series of holographic projections simulating enemy moves. Jax had seen these patterns in the simulation chamber with Mira, but here they were faster and less predictable. He paused for a fraction of a second, then remembered the final challenge from the logbook. Observe, adapt, improvise. He shifted his approach, finding gaps in the holograms and predicting their movements before they occurred. One projection moved in a way that had never appeared in the logbook exercises. Jax hesitated, then quickly devised a solution. He leaped, spun, and landed behind a safe platform, using momentum to navigate the rest of the sequence. Some trainees gasped. The small human had anticipated a pattern that even they hadn't predicted. Xylar's tail flicked once, a subtle motion that Jax interpreted as intrigue. The alien had seen hundreds of trainees, yet something about Jax's approach made him pause. Humans were clever, he realized, not by brute strength, but by their ability to adapt quickly. The final stage of the demonstration was a challenge in teamwork. A holographic map displayed several moving platforms, each controlled by a trainee. Jax had to coordinate with others, using hand signals and quick thinking to align their movements. The other trainees hesitated, unsure how to cooperate with the human. Jax remembered his grandfather's emphasis on observation and leadership. Instead of issuing commands, he suggested patterns and counted the timing out loud, breaking complex moves into simple steps. Slowly, the trainees followed his lead, and the platforms aligned perfectly. A signal lit up, indicating the challenge was complete. The arena went silent for a moment. Then, the trainees broke into murmured applause. They had witnessed something unusual. A human leading with logic and creativity, turning potential confusion into synchronized success. Xylar stepped forward. "Impressive," he said, his voice deep and resonant. "You have done more than speak of your grandfather. You have demonstrated ingenuity, strategy, and leadership. Humans may be smaller than many of my trainees, but your mind is capable of great things." Jax felt a rush of pride. Not because Xylar had complimented him, but because he had proven to himself that preparation, intelligence, and creativity mattered just as much as physical ability. One of the trainees, a tall, feathered alien named Lorik, approached him cautiously. "I didn't think a human could do that," Lorik admitted. You see solutions differently." Jax smiled. "We all see differently," he said. "That's what makes a team strong. If we combine our ideas, we can achieve more than any one species alone." Xylar's eyes glinted. "Indeed. Your grandfather understood this. He taught humans and aliens alike to think beyond their limits. You have carried on that lesson well." Jax glanced down at the logbook in his hands. It was more than proof of his grandfather's legacy. It was a guide for how humans could participate meaningfully in a galaxy full of powerful, diverse beings. As the trainees dispersed, Jax noticed some returning to practice, trying to replicate his methods. He felt a quiet satisfaction, not arrogance, but the knowledge that humans had a place here, and that their value lay not only in physical skill, but in ingenuity, creativity, and adaptability. Xylar turned to him again. "There is one more thing," he said, producing a small device from his belt. It projected a holographic image of the Emperor's emblem. "Your grandfather trained men who served the Emperor. That service required more than strength. It required judgment, intuition, and strategy. I believe you are ready for a new type of training, one that will test your mind as much as your body." Jax's eyes widened. "New training?" he asked eagerly. "Yes," Xylar replied. "One where humans and aliens collaborate in ways no single species can master alone. It is not an easy path. You will encounter situations that demand quick thinking, cooperation, and creativity. Are you ready?" Jax felt a surge of excitement. "I am," he said. Xylar nodded, signaling Mira to step forward. "And you, human, are not alone. This young mechanic has proven her intelligence and adaptability as well. Together, you will serve as examples of human ingenuity and teamwork." Mira smiled and gave Jax a small nod. "We'll do this together," she said. "Let's show them what humans can accomplish." The next few hours were filled with preparation. Jax and Mira studied holographic simulations designed to mimic interstellar scenarios. They practiced repairing damaged systems, coordinating with alien trainees, and finding creative solutions to unexpected problems. Each exercise tested their ability to think under pressure and to collaborate effectively. During one exercise, a holographic power conduit began malfunctioning, threatening to shut down the simulation. Many trainees panicked, unsure how to proceed. Jax quickly assessed the situation, recalling Mira's mechanical guidance. He instructed a group of trainees to hold stabilizing platforms while he rerouted energy using a simple but clever configuration. The simulation stabilized, and the exercise continued. Xylar observed quietly, impressed by the humans' quick thinking. It was one thing to follow instructions. It was another to invent solutions on the spot. Humans, he realized, had a unique advantage: the ability to improvise when the expected methods failed. After the exercises, the group gathered in the arena's observation section. Xylar addressed all the trainees, emphasizing the lessons of the day. "Today, you have seen what collaboration, intelligence, and creativity can achieve. Humans, though smaller and less physically imposing than many of you, demonstrate qualities that are essential for survival and success in interstellar missions. Never underestimate the value of ingenuity and adaptation." Jax felt a quiet pride, not for himself alone, but for humans as a whole. For too long, species had judged humans by their size and strength. Yet here, in Horizon Hub, Humans could shine through intellect, creativity, and courage. Later, as the arena emptied, Jax and Mira walked together through the corridors. "You've come far," Mira said. "But the journey isn't over. The simulations and exercises are only the beginning. There will be missions where your decisions affect more than just a platform or a hologram. They'll affect real people, real equipment, and real outcomes." Jax nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. "I understand," he said. "But I'm ready. We've learned the lessons. Now it's time to apply them." Mira smiled. "That's the spirit. Remember, humans excel when they combine intelligence, creativity, and courage. Never forget that. And you'll continue to prove your place here." As they passed the observation deck overlooking Horizon Hub, Jax paused. The stars stretched out in endless patterns, ships moving silently through the void. He imagined himself navigating missions among them, using the lessons of his grandfather, Mira, and Xylar to guide him. For the first time, he felt the true scope of possibility. Humans weren't just small participants in a galaxy dominated by larger, stronger species. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators, capable of rising to challenges no one expected. Jax took a deep breath, feeling determination settle in his chest. He had demonstrated skill, creativity, and leadership. He had proved that humans could compete not through force, but through intelligence and ingenuity. And he knew that this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, new challenges would come. Simulations would be harder, problems more complex. But Jax was ready. He had learned from his grandfather, trained with Mira, and faced Xylar's scrutiny. He had discovered that human potential was not limited by size or strength but by imagination, courage, and the will to try. As he looked out over the stars, Jax felt a quiet thrill. Horizon Hub was just the start. The galaxy awaited, full of challenges, adventures, and opportunities for humans to shine, and he would be ready for them. For the first time, he wasn't just the human who had boasted about his grandfather. He was the human who had proven that humans could inspire, lead, and innovate qualities that no alien could ever underestimate. And somewhere in the distance, beyond the station, the stars seemed to sparkle a little brighter, as if acknowledging that a new kind of human had begun to rise. The next morning, Horizon Hub was alive with the sounds of preparation. Starships moved through docking bays, engines hummed, and crews adjusted systems for departure. Jax stood near the observation deck, watching the activity with a mixture of awe and excitement. Today was different. Today, he wouldn't just practice in simulations, he would participate in a real interstellar mission alongside Xylar, Mira, and a team of alien trainees. Xylar approached, his golden eyes scanning the bustling deck. "The mission will test more than your skill," he said. "It will test your thinking, adaptability, and cooperation. You will encounter challenges that require teamwork, strategy, and creativity. Are you ready, human?" Jax straightened his shoulders. "Yes, sir. I'm ready." Mira walked up beside him, checking a small handheld device. "I've calibrated the systems for our ship," she said. "Everything should run smoothly. But remember, unexpected problems can happen. Stay alert and think creatively." The ship they would use was sleek and agile, designed for reconnaissance and support missions. It wasn't the largest vessel in the fleet, but it was perfect for testing teamwork and human ingenuity. Jax stepped aboard with Mira, his heart racing. The other trainees followed, a mix of alien species, each bringing unique skills and strengths. Xylar led the briefing. Holographic images of nearby star systems appeared, highlighting the route, objectives, and potential hazards. "Your mission," he explained, "is to survey a recently discovered sector of space and collect data on energy anomalies. These anomalies could affect nearby colonies. You will need to navigate safely, analyze information, and work as a team. Efficiency and clever thinking are as important as speed." Jax listened intently. He had trained for this in simulations, but the stakes now were real. The ship's instruments were complex, the terrain unfamiliar, and the unexpected could happen at any moment. Yet he felt confident. He had Mira's guidance, Xylar's experience, and the knowledge that humans could shine in ways others might not expect. As they launched, Jax felt the familiar thrill of acceleration. The stars streaked past, and Horizon Hub receded behind them. For a moment, everything was quiet, filled only with the soft hum of the ship's systems. The first challenge appeared sooner than expected. A cluster of asteroid-like energy formations drifted in their path, glowing faintly. Standard navigation protocols wouldn't suffice. They had to find a creative way to pass through without triggering any instability. Jax studied the formations, noting the patterns of their movement. "If we approach from a diagonal angle, we can ride the gaps between them," he suggested. Pointing at the holographic display, Mira nodded. "Good thinking. Let's adjust the thrusters and timing." The team worked together, following Jax's guidance. Their ship wove gracefully through the energy formations, narrowly avoiding collisions. The other trainees watched, impressed at how a human could analyze patterns and lead the group through a complex situation. Xylar's eyes glinted. "Humans have a way of seeing solutions others miss. Remember this, trainees. Observation, creativity, and quick thinking are just as important as strength or technology." The next phase of the mission involved data collection from floating energy nodes. These nodes emitted fluctuating signals that required precise adjustments to gather accurate readings. Jax and Mira coordinated with the team, using both technical skill and logical reasoning. Some nodes reacted unpredictably, forcing the crew to improvise. Jax suggested combining two data streams, creating a pattern that revealed hidden information. The team followed his method, and the readings became stable and clear. The success drew quiet admiration from the alien trainees, many of whom had doubted a human could manage such a task under pressure. As they completed the data collection, an unexpected scenario emerged. A nearby asteroid field, previously undetected, shifted dangerously due to a gravitational anomaly. The fleet's sensors signaled a potential collision path. Panic could have set in, but Jax remained calm. He quickly analyzed the situation, noticing a subtle gap in the formation. "If we synchronize our maneuvers with the movement of the larger asteroids, we can pass through safely," he instructed, marking a path on the holographic display. The crew hesitated for a moment, then followed his lead. The ship threaded between massive rocks, adjusting speed and trajectory precisely as Jax predicted. When they cleared the field, cheers erupted in the cabin. Xylar gave a rare nod of approval, a sign of deep respect. "You are learning fast, human," Xylar said. "Your mind adapts to situations others might fear. That is a gift, and it is why humans can stand among the stars." Jax felt a sense of pride, not from glory, but from knowing he had contributed in a meaningful way. Humans might not be physically dominant, but they had an advantage that others often underestimated: the ability to think creatively under pressure. The final stage of the mission required analyzing a series of complex energy anomalies near a small, uncharted planet. Standard protocols could not decode the data fully. Jax suggested using a combination of predictive modeling and improvisation. Mira worked alongside him, adjusting the ship's systems while he interpreted the readings. "Try aligning the energy streams with the planet's rotation," Jax said, examining the holographic display. "It might reveal hidden patterns we couldn't see before." Mira followed his suggestion, and the instruments responded immediately. The hidden structure within the anomalies became visible, a network of energy conduits resembling a natural lattice. Jax realized this discovery could help protect nearby colonies by predicting energy surges before they became dangerous. Xylar observed quietly, impressed by how the human and mechanic had worked together to solve a problem that required both logic and creativity. "Humans excel when they combine intelligence with observation and adaptability," he said to the other trainees. "Let this mission be a lesson to all. Physical strength is limited. Innovation and quick thinking are limitless." As the mission concluded, the team returned to Horizon Hub. The reports were flawless, the data complete, and the anomalies successfully analyzed. Trainees and instructors alike congratulated Jax and Mira, recognizing that humans could make a difference in ways that weren't immediately obvious. Xylar called Jax aside. "You have done well," he said, his voice calm but full of weight. "Today, you proved that humans belong here not just by courage, but by ingenuity and creative thinking. You have honored your grandfather's legacy and, more importantly, begun to create your own." Jax felt a surge of accomplishment. He had come to Horizon Hub as a teen, boasting about stories he barely understood. Now, he had contributed meaningfully to a real mission, demonstrating that humans were capable of more than anyone had expected. Mira joined them, smiling. "You did it," she said. "We did it. Together." Jax nodded. "Yes. And this is only the beginning. There's so much more to explore, so much more humans can do." The final scene of the day was quiet but filled with promise. Jax stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars stretching endlessly across the void. Horizon Hub glimmered behind him, a beacon of opportunity and learning. He realized that humans had a unique role in the galaxy, not to dominate through strength, but to inspire through intelligence, creativity, and determination. Across the deck, Xylar watched silently, no longer just a strict instructor, but a mentor who had recognized the potential of an unlikely human. Mira adjusted her tools, ready to continue innovating alongside him. The other trainees moved through the station, some curious, some inspired, all reminded that humans had a place in a galaxy that often underestimated them. Jax took a deep breath, feeling the excitement of possibility. He had begun as a boy claiming his grandfather's legacy, and he had grown into a human proving his own. The journey ahead was vast, filled with unknown challenges, but he was ready. Humans had the tools that mattered most, the ability to think, adapt, and solve problems in ways no other species could. And as the stars shimmered beyond Horizon Hub, Jax knew that this was only the start of adventures that would take him, Mira, and humans like him further than anyone had imagined. The galaxy was big, the challenges many, and the opportunities limitless. And in every challenge, he would remember the lessons of his grandfather, the guidance of Mira, and the confidence that humans could rise to meet any obstacle. Tomorrow, they would continue exploring. Tomorrow, humans would continue proving that their minds, courage, and creativity were among the galaxy's most valuable resources. And somewhere in the silence of space, new possibilities awaited, ready for humans to discover and make their own.